So I didn't think after 8 years of being married that I would have only just changed my name on my passport. Recent trip to Fiji, I finally got around to doing it because having dual citizenship means that you can't have two passports with two different names at any point. Whilst we've been here in England, all I keep seeing about Fiji immigration and renewing passports is just that people are struggling to get it. They're lodging their passports, but there are no passports available. There's a shortage. And I mean, if you're Fijian and you live overseas, or if you've been after a passport, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So I put it off. I didn't do it for years. I just changed things here in the UK. So, like my bank account details, bills, driver's license. But if we travelled, I always travelled on my maiden name. But when we went to Fiji this year, I decided that I was going to change the name on my Fiji passport. So we have a friend who has a business that involves helping people renew their passports whilst they live overseas and sort out formal paperwork such as that. I messaged Tony and I was like, "Hi Nito, can you help me please? Because I need to sort my passport out and like, can you give me the advice?" So he was like, "Sure." He told me everything that I needed to do, and we had all our documents with us anyway, like our marriage certificate, both passports, any birth certificates and things like that. Well, when he last went to the immigration office, they had told him for one of his other clients that she needed to change her name on her birth certificate. Now, I mean, if you're Fijian or if you have if you know anything about Fijian politics, you'll know that at one stage the previous government was saying that you cannot be known under multiple names or aliases. So as a result, an aspect of that for women was that if you wanted to be known as under your married name, that also had to be reflected all the way back to your birth certificate. I found that out. I kind of knew about it going into Fiji and I was thinking, oh, okay, it's not something I really want to do, but if I need to do it so that I can get my Fijian passport renewed, then so be it. I mean, there's different laws all across different countries, all over the world that don't make sense to us, especially if we haven't grown up in the place, or they're just things that you need to do in order to function in that place. So I just thought, what the hell, I'll just swallow my pride and all logic and I'll go down to the registry for births, deaths and marriages and ask them to change my name. So that's what we did. We went over one morning. Tony has a friend there who's the director. Knocked on his door and was basically like, "Hi, I'm here from the UK. I'm going back in a week. And can I change my name on my birth certificate so that I can renew my Fiji passport with my married name?" And he was like, "Oh my gosh, you must be so in love with your husband." I was like, "Please, just get this thing done." So we got it done. We were really grateful that I managed just to sit there, fill out some paperwork, pay the small fee, and then they processed it, gave me my new birth certificate with Rocket. And then I took that straight to the Department of Immigration on the same day. So we turned up at immigration, sat down, joined a queue, and everyone was like, "Sorry, there's no appointments. Do you have an appointment?" And I was a bit like, "No, don't know how to get an appointment. None of the online systems work. Is there a number I'm supposed to call?" But Tony was like, "Don't worry, just sit down and sit in the queue. And as it goes on, I'm sure someone will call you up." And I was thinking, "No, you can't do that. I don't have an appointment. It doesn't work that way." And he just smiled at me. So I was like, "Okay, Fiji style." So that's what we did. We sat there and after the third person, then I got called up. So I was like, yes, finally. Sat down with the lady at immigration. And the first thing I said was, "I've already changed my name on my birth certificate and I'd like to renew my passport with my married name." And she looked at me and she just smiled. And I said, "Why? What's wrong?" And she just went, "Isa Lewa, we don't have to do that anymore." And I just sat there like, "Are you serious?" And she went, "Yeah, you don't need to do that. You could have just brought me your birth certificate and your marriage certificate." And I thought, okay. So I said to her, I said, "Look, please, can you make sure that all of your staff is saying the same thing? Because like my friend who actually does this for people was here earlier this week or last week, and he was advised that women, if they want to renew their passports in their married name, still need to go and change their name on the birth certificate. Anyway, I gave her my original birth certificate and my marriage license or marriage certificate, and she wrote it down, said she'd change all the names. She had to clarify whether I was a dual citizen, and then she needed to find out when I gained my British citizenship. But that was quite a confusing conversation because I think she assumed that I had to give up my Fiji citizenship in order to get my British one. But then I had to go back and explain to her that no, I've had my British citizenship since I was a child. And when the dual citizenship laws came into effect in 2009, I was still under 18, well, just turning 18. So I didn't ever have to denounce my Fiji citizenship for the other. So once we clarified that and she realized that I had been a Fiji citizen this whole time and it was just a matter of renewing the passport, she processed my passport, made me pay at the payment window. And then she said, okay, in 2 to 3 days, your passport will be ready. So that was like a Thursday or a Friday. We waited over the weekend. By the Monday, there was still no passport. Tuesday was already a day over, or was the deadline for when I had paid for this quick turnaround. And there was still no passport. So I was low-key freaking out. But Tony was like, don't worry, Sai, before you leave Fiji, you'll definitely get your passport. Wednesday morning came along. And then I had the job of changing my name back to my birth name on my birth certificate. So the morning that we were driving out of Suva to go to Nandi to fly back to England, I went to the birth, death and marriages office again. First thing in the morning with coffee and quiche for our friend. Dropped it off with him and I was like, oh, the information was all wrong. Please, can you change it back? And luckily, I mean, thank God for like good people that you know along the way. And Fiji, who's it's more like, if you know somebody, then things will get done. But yeah, he changed my name back and I was able to leave Suva knowing that my name had been changed back to my original name. And that on my birth certificate, I was only under Rocket for like 5 days, which is still wild. And then before we left Suva at about midday, the same day on the Wednesday, Tony turns up at home and he's got my passport. So I think the lesson in it for me was that things don't always get done the way we think it should be, but there are systems and it works in other places. And who am I to like come in and say that it's not good or needs to be more efficient in this way and that way? Because I mean, it works and I still got my passport at the end of the day. And I can't just assume that I know better than everybody else. But it was definitely a process. And I'm just really glad that we have people and friends who can help us along the way. Because then if not, I think I would have been a lot more stressed in that situation. But I guess for anybody who needs to renew their Fiji passport whilst they're in Fiji or them change their name in their passport, this might be a little bit of information that can help you. And if you live overseas and you need help with renewing your passport or anything like that, message me, because like our friend Tony, he's really good at what he does and he's done it for a lot of people in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and he really helped us. Well, he really helped me with this whole thing, and because I did it with him, it just gave me peace of mind throughout the whole process.